Hello, I'm Archibald Chesterfield III, and today I'd like to present a new series. What is the best Rolex? What is the best Rolex? And this is a very interesting question. What is the best Rolex indeed? What I've decided to do is answer this question in a series of videos. What is the best Rolex? I want to branch off into a number of areas to work out what truly is the best Rolex to acquire. I'm going to be looking at, is it a new or used watch? Is it a sports or a dress watch? Is it steel, two-tone or precious metal? What is the best sports Rolex? The best investment potential? The best GMT function piece? The best dive watch? What is the best Rolex to buy? That, my friend, is the question. And to start this series, let's have a look at new or used. New or used. Let's have a look. New or used? What is the best?
New or used? That is the question. And with Rolex, it's one of the few brands that if you do buy a piece new, you really won't take a bath. Now, there are a few provisos to this rule. And it's like anything. Sometimes it's the lesser expensive watches in less glamorous materials which are the better retainers of value. New or used, that is the question. A case in point, a steel Daytona purchased brand new at retail is often able to get 100% of your money back, if not a small surcharge. The recent edition of the Rolex Daytona with the ceramic bezel in steel has exceeded all expectations in the marketplace, and prices of used examples are going for a premium above full retail. This is a rarity and is not something that'll happen if you buy a two-tone Datejust. You have to consider the models carefully if you're buying new or used. In fact, there are some models which are excellent value on the used market, and there are some models which buying new does make sense. For example, if you want a Rolex President, that's the top of the line 18 karat or platinum men's dress watch, the Rolex Day Date, which it is also referred to, is often better to buy on the secondary market. Rolex themselves there have been very sneaky, and what they've done is they've changed the sizes. The Rolex Day Date President is available in the traditional size of 36 mils. It's available in the Rolex Day Date 2, 41.5 to 42 mils depending on your measuring stick. And the new Rolex Day Date 40 mils. With this confusion in the marketplace, it makes it harder to buy the exact size model that you want in the pre-owned market. Buying new or used. Well, what is the general rule? The general rule is if you're buying new, you want to stick with steel sports Rolexes. Steel sports Rolexes include the Rolex Daytona, the Rolex Submariner, the Rolex GMT. It includes classic new pieces like the Rolex Milgauss, the Rolex Explorer 1, and it includes many of the steel Oyster Perpetual pieces. Although these aren't classified as sports watches because of the Oyster case, they certainly can be considered a classic sports watch in the modern age. New or used? What pieces would I avoid buying new? Well, I'd try and stay away from buying two-tone new. That's right, steel and gold combination watches. I'd preferably try and buy this on the pre-owned market. To combat this reality, Rolex has introduced new dials to try and get people to fall in love with a dial combination which is only available on a newer piece. This is the economic reality of the marketplace. New or used. If you're after a solid gold piece, it almost makes sense to always buy used. The reality is, solid gold pieces retain the percentage of the original price worse than any watch in the range. This is a reality. It's similar to buying a 7 Series BMW and comparing the depreciation of a 7 Series BMW to a 3 Series BMW. The 3 Series BMW will generally retain more of its percentage of the original price over a longer period. Now, new or used, which way do you go? Well, what pieces do I recommend that are okay to buy new? The number one piece, of course, would be any Rolex steel Daytona. That's right. That's the Rolex stopwatch, the Rolex chronograph, and that piece there is very safe buying on the new market. The Rolex Submariner is also quite a good buy on the new market because it will retain its value. This applies to the Rolex Submariner date or no date models. The Rolex GMT is a piece which has also had a recent surge in the last couple of years, and it can be bought on the new market quite safely. The Rolex Milgauss, the Rolex Explorer 1 are also pieces which aren't the end of the world if you happen to have bought them new. With that said, the Rolex Explorer 2 should probably, if you're going to be buying it, you're probably better to buy that on the used market. Even if you choose the slightly larger model, the 42mm, you're probably better to get this piece on the pre-owned market. The reason I say this is because it doesn't seem to retain as much value as a new GMT, which it basically shares a lot of parts and a lot of technology in common. New or used, it really is a very important question to a lot of people. And at the end of the day, you got to pick the watch that you love, the watch that sings to you, the watch that makes you happy. But you've also got to be smart. It's not a smart move to buy a model, go into a snooty Rolex dealer who doesn't give you much percentage discount. This is a dumb move. A lot of snooty Rolex dealers believe they've got the money-making machine from Jesus that allows them to give shitty discounts. By shitty discounts, I am meaning 10 to 15% max. That is not a good discount. Personally, I would not be dealing with these Rolex buffoons. That's what the real Rolex dealers can be called. A lot of these Rolex dealers in England, Australia, and the United States of America are buffoons. They won't discount because they are scared of losing their Rolex agency if it's discovered they've given serious discounts. In Italy, I know Rolex dealers who have sold solid gold pieces like the Daytona, a solid gold Daytona, at virtual cost just to turn stock over. So if you are going to buy new, you got to be careful. You got to haggle like a bitch. If you're going to be buying new pieces, you got to know which pieces are the good buys, which pieces are dogs. And That's right, the Rolex Daytona in rose gold. My friend bought one from a dealer for 26,000 US dollars. And I gotta tell you, you gotta haggle like a bitch. Haggle like a bitch. And it makes sense to buy pieces which aren't going to be a huge drop in the ocean for you. Generally speaking, solid gold or platinum pieces should be bought on the secondary market. Two-tone should always be bought on the secondary market. Steel pieces, that's where it's starting to get safer to buy new, but you need to still be wise up and make the right choices. I'm Archibald Chesterfield III. This has been my new series, What is the Best Rolex? This is the new or used segment. Please tell me what you think of this and keep watching. ArchieLuxury signing out, fuckers.
I hope you've enjoyed the first video in the series. New or used? That is a very good question. What is the best Rolex, new or used? And it really depends on what model you're buying. And as I've mentioned in the video, basically, if you want to buy new, stick with steel sports watches, preferably a Daytona, a Rolex dive watch, a Rolex GMT. If you want to buy used, you're better off looking at the bargains. The bargains are things like the Rolex Explorer 2. Things are also best bought used if it's a precious metal or two-tone. Two-tone pieces and precious metal is really best to buy new unless you can haggle like a bitch. So, new or used? It depends on the model. It depends on the model. And in most cases, it's always better to buy pre-owned. And I've got to tell you, in this world we live in, Rolex is one of the few things that does retain a big chunk of its value. There aren't many pieces of jewelry that one can buy that retain such value over time. And buying a Rolex should be looked at as part of an investment. That's right. Rolex watches really are a cool thing to have and can give you enjoyment as well as retaining value. Buying the right piece is the secret. I'm Archibald Chesterfield III. I hope you've enjoyed this first video.
We specialize here in pre-owned Rolex watches. Rolex watch is a very special timepiece, and we always do the servicing exactly as factory specifications. We buy a pre-owned piece and we put it into brand new condition. We have Rolex certified technicians working on that. We completely disassemble the piece, we adjust and polish and change every single part of the watch.
You have to have certified watchmakers that know what they're doing. If you have an expensive car, you're just not going to bring it to any mechanic that doesn't know what they're doing.
You spend $5,000, it's like if you put money in the safe deposit box. And 1 or 2 years from now, you will keep having your $5,000. We have to spend a lot of money to get all this equipment together, but makes me feel I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. It's not a question of money, it's my passion.
Jewelers on time, simply the best.